Welcome to Your Infinite Health. Are you getting older?
Are you feeling it?
How would you like to do that in reverse?
We're your host,
Dr. Trip
and LeNae.
We've run an integrative medicine practice for 13 years.
Together, we have 60 years of combined experience helping clients.
We've helped tens of thousands achieve success in health and live longer, happier lives.
In this show, we'll cover peer-reviewed and evidence-based integrative approaches to creating the health you've always wanted.
We also share professional experience we see in the field every day.
So if you're ready to feel, look, and live your best life, you're in the right place.
Welcome to Your Infinite Health podcast.
So today I thought we could talk about exactly what integrative medicine is, just because it's one of the most frequently asked questions I get. I think that word integrative is used fairly loosely, and I know that I have a particular definition for what that is. And then I thought we could talk about our multi-pillar approach and why, specifically highlighting the mind-body component that we call Think and Live Longer, which is the Bible, essentially, for infinite health. So just backing up, I developed a very strict idea of what integrative medicine means because I'm going to credit that to Dr. Adam Perlman, who was the lead director of the Duke University Medical Center Integrative Medicine Leadership Development Program. It was a mouthful that I completed, I think, back in 2017. And he had a really great definition, or the Duke institution in particular has a really ideal definition for what integrative medicine really is, because it's not holistic medicine and it's not functional medicine. And I think there's some...
Which are components, actually, of integrative medicine.
Right. So essentially, the definition of integrative medicine is that integrative medicine is a proactive approach to care that places the patient in partnership with the physician and takes into consideration all factors that affect health. So that's going to be your environmental situation, that's going to be your familial situation, your emotional, mental, physical, nutritional, spiritual, or the lack thereof. So all these factors that we address in our lives impact our health, either positively or negatively. And so all of those are taken into consideration in an integrative approach. And the physician is really a partner and bringing in the best of traditional modalities, what we generally know as medicine in the U.S., with, for us, it's peer-reviewed and evidence-based complementary therapies. And so we integrate those in to address the whole person and all those factors that affect their health versus, and maybe you can go into the idea of what a holistic only approach is versus a functional approach to care.
I think holistic more defines taking into account all influences that we have on our health and on the entire body and its subsequent response to those insults, if you like, or end result of those. And I think functional medicine looks primarily at modifying the intakes and the exposures we have over the course of time to improve our body's function, so to speak. So, and that would be nutritional and physical and that primarily.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. So that's functional as nutritional and physical primarily.
Right. Based on the function of the organs and the improvement of the function of the organs with interventions such as modifying sugar intake or starch intake, for example, has dramatic effect on multiple different organ functions. So that would be a functional approach.
Yeah. So I hope that clarifies some things. For us at Infinite Health, we've adopted what we call a multi-pillar approach or a 4-pillar approach, specifically designed to help a patient get from where they are to where they want to go. So it's very partnership driven. We're not here to provide a solution because we understand that the patient has the power. We have the tools. Patient has to implement the tools.
I think maybe this is maybe a moment where we could talk about the concept of the medical mastermind and its impact on how the partnership is formed. I think this is one of the concepts that we included in our book, Think and Live Longer, chapter 3, I believe it is. But it's strewn throughout the book. But the concept of the medical mastermind, it's a mastermind that mastermind was a concept created maybe at the turn of the 20th century and more thoughtfully brought into the business domain as opposed to the medical domain, and the mastermind being a concept that was created by Andrew Carnegie and Napoleon Hill, basically having a group of individuals that are harmoniously, and that's a very important word, harmoniously focused on helping the head of the mastermind, the creator of the mastermind, to achieve the outcomes that person desired. And that would be, in the case of Andrew Carnegie at the time, was the wealthiest man in the world. So he routinely, on a monthly, a quarterly basis, or whatever it was, would get together with these trusted individuals that supported him in creating his empire, so to speak. So those individuals have to work together harmoniously. They create, it's kind of like thinking about, you have your own mind and you bring it together with other individuals, and you're creating a sphere of experience that multiple individuals have and give information to help that individual create an outcome that they desire. So having read The Law of Success and I guess Think and Grow Rich and a number of others of those books in that kind of new age thought era of the 20th century, from the 30s or before, taking that concept, it's a concept that's very valid in medicine, quite frankly. And as we understand that we're working together with our patients to help them achieve what they want. It's different from conventional medicine. Conventional medicine and reactive medicine is based on much more on a business approach now that seems much more to me like an assembly line. You come in, and I was just as guilty about doing it as most other reactive medical doctors while I was doing oncology. Patient comes in, has a complaint or a main complaint, and basically you focus on that, and you say, well, here, what can I do to help resolve that problem? And most of the time it's symptom-based, so we tend to address the symptom more than we do the foundational problem that causing the symptom. So here, take this. If you're not happy, take this antidepressant. If you've got diabetes, here, take the insulin, or take the metformin that takes care of the blood sugar levels, or tries to help take care of the blood sugar levels, but doesn't resolve the issue at hand. So with that in mind, looking at resolution of the problem, if the patient has a group of individuals helping him or her get to that resolution, it's much more comprehensive and results in the resolution of the problem. So I think
you can correct me if I'm wrong, but in theory, doctors should be coordinating together. But in what you call the medical mastermind, it's not the doctor that is responsible for creating that team, that it really is the patient who is supposed to be the CEO of their health, their goals. And so the responsibility for curating partners, their healthcare partners, is their responsibility.
Correct. And taking ownership of that is so important, because if the individual doesn't take ownership, then nobody else will. But having those, or something or something else will, and the outcome of that may not be to the patient's liking. So in that ownership, he or she is picking those individuals that are really helping them get to where the patient wants to go. So that's really the key, right? They're the CEO of the organization.
Yeah, I think that's probably a really new concept for most people. They don't think of themselves as the
boss.
The boss. Maybe a lot of times people just think, I've got this problem, I'm the victim of my problem, and it's the doctor's responsibility to fix the problem.
Right, and that's what we've developed in medical care over the years, over the past century or so. The patient, having much less knowledge available to them 100 years ago, went to the doctor who had the knowledge and was basically subject to their knowledge base. So now we have knowledge and information is much more available, and people want to participate in their care, want to participate in the decision making. And so in making them the CEO or the boss of the mastermind of all those people working together harmoniously, it really gives them ownership, and also takes them out of that victimhood that, well, if I didn't get this outcome, it's the doctor's fault. So it's really taking a different view of the responsibility of the outcome, because the patient ultimately has that choice. And so if they're making a good choice of their medical mastermind and everybody's working together, the outcomes can be potentially exponentially better than what we see in a subjective kind of application of medicine.
Cool. So I'm going to segue that into the multi-pillar approach.
So that's the foundation. So as the patient comes in, that information has to be assessed, and we'll talk about that at a later date, how we do that. But as the patient creates that image of health and success, then the individual's components of that will be based on not only their medical mastermind, as long as everybody is working together harmoniously, and then after that, then basically we at Infinite Health devised at least a 4-pillar approach that does the mind-body, which is the component that really is the foundation of creating the health reality that the patient wants. And then after that, then the major components are going to be the physical, the nutritional, and the metabolic and physiologic hormonal optimization, and getting that optimization back to a point where it's creating a healthy environment for the cells, so that they're not creating errors and damaging themselves, and creating what I like to call the welfare cells that has otherwise been called, I think they call them zombie cells. I think Dr. Sinclair was at the origin of that at Harvard. But those cells that actually consume resources and consume a lot of resources, but they don't participate in the end organ function. So think, for example, of your liver or your kidneys, that all of a sudden 75% of them are not functioning to the behest of kidney function. They're actually compromising the ability of the other kidney cells trying to get that outcome and get the proper physiologic outcome. And so that compromises their ability to work. And as that continues on, the reserve that you have in your kidney deteriorates and can end up in, quite frankly, in overt renal failure. So that concept is very important also in the overall function of the body, where we age biologically, and our biological age can be calculated by looking at how much of our DNA has been shut down progressively over time. And that happens in every single cell in the body. So if we understand that we're shutting down functional DNA, which helps the cell survive and ultimately is going to take them from a healthy cell into a welfare cell, then we understand that our best interest to keep all of those cells as healthy as possible, and doing what we can with the knowledge base that we have at this juncture, which may not be perfect, but it's very good, can actually help us live longer and live better by keeping our DNA much more functional and preventing epigenetic aging.
Fascinating. Thanks.
Yeah, it's hard to put in one sentence, but I think I managed to do that.
Well, that's cool. So, and I think that kind of really emphasizes what today's topic was, which was really just getting clear on what integrative medicine is, the mind-body component, the patient as the CEO, and the multi-pillar approach. So I think we touched on all that pretty well.
So I think at Infinite Health, we've added into the regenerative component, and patients coming in, for example, with maybe just degenerative arthritis of their knee, which is keeping them from, give a clinical example, somebody who has arthritis of their knee that can't run anymore or can't bicycle anymore. Obviously, it's going to be hard to get physical optimization in that setting. So with the ability that we have today with the advent of biological therapies that regenerate cartilage and fibrous tissue and bone tissue and nerve tissue and all sorts of other tissues, you have really with our grasp the ability to regenerate those things and make our patients much healthier so that they can achieve those outrageous outcomes that they desire.
which is awesome because we're going to go deeper into those modalities in our next episode. So you don't want to miss that. And I think that wraps it up for this go round. Mm-hmm. So thank you.
Oh, well, thank you.
All right. Until next time, stay healthy.
Thanks for subscribing to Your Infinite Health. I'm Dr. Trip.
And I'm LeNae. Until next time, feel it, look it, and live it.